Sore for what?
It kind of did it, but yeah, a little. Not as much, but a little.
We'll rinse it out after a while. There she is.
What did you say?
Granny. We're gonna look at some of these things that she sent. So, where's my ashtray?
Where's your what?
Ashtray. I remember you said something about that there to report it. Where it come from or something.
On the second day of May, 2 children were reported missing from a rural property in Nova Scotia.
It's been decent. We've been trying to stay out of that heat. It's so hot you couldn't even just stand out there. Well, it got so hot I had to take my hat off. That's pretty daggone hot. I wished. I like the fall.
The report came just before noon. The mother's voice was calm, too calm. She told dispatchers they'd been playing in the yard, and then they were gone. No sound, no struggle, no sign they'd ever left the property. Within hours, police arrived. By nightfall, the forest behind the house was lined with volunteers, search dogs, drones, and heat sensors. A full kept to herself. She worked part-time at a local veterinary clinic until she didn't. No official reason was given for her peering out the window late at night, unmoving, like a child's heel. Another wasn't convinced it was fresh. There was too much thought to look closer. Not yet. May 2nd, 2025. It was a Thursday, the kind of spring day where the wind lingers a little too long in the trees and the ground is still soft from thaw. At 11:42 a.m., a call came into Nova Scotia's emergency dispatch. It was Maleha Sullivan. Calm, quiet, no panic in her voice. She told them she had stepped inside to grab something, said the kids were in the yard near the tree line, said she was gone for 5 minutes, maybe less. When she came back out, Lily and Jack were gone. Police arrived within the hour. What they found was nothing. No overturned toys, no tire tracks, no footprints. The swing was still moving slightly, as if someone had just jumped off. People entered or exited the road that morning. The only car caught on camera was a pickup truck belonging to Logan. But no one said anything yet, not publicly, not even to Maleha. By the 5th day, public interest swelled into national attention. Missing posters, candlelight vigils, interviews, hashtags. The RCMP held daily press briefings with little to report. They called it an active missing persons investigation with no evidence of foul play. Maleha appeared in front of cameras twice. Both times her voice was steady, detached. She thanked the search crews, she asked for privacy, and then she went home. But for investigators, something about her behavior didn't settle. One officer later described it as hollow, like she was reciting lines someone else had written.
Yeah.
Still, there was no evidence, no proof of harm. Gone, no context, no follow-up, no call, nothing since. And muttered, "I can't hold it anymore." For the next 2 hours, Logan told a version of events the RCMP hadn't heard before. And it wasn't an accident. It wasn't an abduction. It wasn't a stranger. It started, he said, the night of May 1st. There had been an argument. He wouldn't say what started it, only that the tension had been building for days. That Jack had been crying, that Malaya had been off, that she hadn't slept in 3 nights, that she said something strange. "Sometimes I think they're better off without me." He said Lily had gone to her room early, headphones on, that Jack had followed Malaya into the basement, that she wasn't gone long, but when she came back,
Hey, Patricia. You know, it's pretty. Uh, they say they have. According to what is it? RCMP. According to them, they have. That's going to be a question that I asked tonight. This is pretty pathetic when we got to get answers from children when the ones responsible will not step up and take it like you need to. They're cowards. They like to hide behind mommy and daddy. Things that they're telling now is stuff that it's been stuff that we don't know. The kids told us about the basement before anybody ever mentioned anything about a basement. And if global news is putting it out that Jack and Lily weren't found yet, what does that mean for RCMP? they said the other day that they would tell some things, but not everything. The only thing that really confuses me is that we had to get all this information from the children and past loved ones. We started this off right off the top. RCMP, CPS, they've all failed these children. And again, it's terrible that the community has to care and love these children more than their own family. Me too, and I'm on standby. Global news will only know so much as well. If they don't want to release certain things, they're not going to. They can't afford to do anything wrong again. That RCMP. Mm-mm. And when Lilly said, now we're free, that was the best news we've heard. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to turn a deaf ear to these children. We overheard that conversation over that wiretap on that phone. And they plainly stated that Lily knew too much. Yeah. Hey, Holland. So it wouldn't make me no difference if the state senate come out and said that the children have not been found. I'd tell him to get his butt back in there and sit down somewhere. That's right. 18. If everybody just sit back and think about it for a minute. And yeah, I'm talking about all of us. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm talking about all of us. We'll sit back and think about it for just a minute. Everything that was done punishable, left in a basement, whipped and choked, probably threw that baby down the stairs to try to see if they could make that look like an accident. The district attorney the judge that's going to hold this case is going to know the difference. There's several things that has been said that I've listened back over, because even after we do these live shows, when you listen back, you hear more than you heard to begin with. And I guarantee you can listen to it 2 more times and you'll hear a few other things. Well, we know Daniel couldn't stand either one of the kids, except for the baby. But he was still so unforsure if that was even his baby, because she'd been slipping around on him. Well, I guess 2 people can tango that way, because he was too. But I believe the reason they didn't do anything bad to Meadow is because yet they didn't know. No matter what they have done, if they got in trouble, at least it could go somewhere where it could get attention that it needed. You know, her and her mom done got kicked out of the reses all around there. Everything that Durwood has said, everything that Logan has said, everything that Daniel said, and the grandmothers, they're all still, to this moment right now, still are trying to hold to a secret. And for what reason, I don't know. These children, have been cared about more since this has happened than they've ever felt throughout their whole 4 year and 6 year of their existence. Now, what bothers me is that, and I'm gonna tell it straight. I'm not gonna beat around the bushes with it. Jack and Lily were more than just brother and sister. They were best friends. He depended on her, and she also depended on him. She has told us that, I guess when we're found, we'll be found without any clothes on. And this is the part that's upsetting me the most. They all knowed how close Jack and Lily was. Everybody in that family, everybody around that even knew them, know this. I listened back several times. And this is also the part that I don't understand. With them knowing how they needed one another and loved each other, I believe that they were so hated that they separated Jack and Lily. I believe that was their intention, and that way they would be that way in death. Because I've listened back and listened back and listened back. And Rose and that other woman talks about Jack this, Jack that. Yeah. Something just what again, what pisses me off is that, again, that they were so hated that they were separated in death. Now I believe, and I'm gonna say this, and I don't care who in the world likes it, don't like it. I believe Lilly had to sit and watch what they did to Jack. I believe that she was so scared, and with her knowing too much, they did the unthinkable. And I guess tossing him down into a basement. And remind you not, we already had the word basement a month or so before they ever even said anything about a basement. Little things like that is what I pay attention to. Okay. And I think that whatever they did to Jack, they did the right opposite on Lily. I believe that they thought if they separated them, that they would be separated in death. There for a good bit, Jack was talking every time we turn it on. He's a loud little old feller. But when I asked the question, was Jack right there with you? Because I heard them say he's 1 to 2 feet down from her. I believe that they used drugs. I believe we know that she's been fooled with. Her underwear wouldn't have been full of blood if they hadn't. Then on top of that, I believe that she got so weak that they tried to finish it off with a pillow. Yeah. Um, the stuff that so far that actual RCMP has even said to put out to the public was that the skull was found, and they were hikers that found it, and that they were, or it was, Jack and Lily Sullivan. It knowed it was Jack because of the remains, but the decomposition in it. After 3 months or so, and out in the elements, the disfigurement could have been by animals, like I said, because they did say that they were, uh, hey Lynn, that they were severed in pieces, and that it was weird on one of the sessions. I asked Jack a question, and I didn't get an answer back. And that was from, well, the question was about Lily. And I didn't get an answer back. I don't know if he just didn't want to have to relive that, or if somebody didn't want him to say. Now, that could be a true statement. Like, silence sometimes speaks louder than words. We all know that. When I asked about the punishments, she said, yeah. And she kind of gets the same thing. But she said something that they did something to Jack first. Now, if they both were not found right there, after putting out a bold statement saying that the remains did match Jack and Lily Sullivan, and by their clothing, it's had a little yellow dinosaur shirt there. Now, if they were telling a tale like that, and that comes from RCMP, and if it was a false statement about Lily also being right there, then they're going to be in big trouble. But if one was found and said it was definitely Jack's skull and a match to his remains there, they're going to be in so much trouble, they wouldn't be allowed to go back and do anything at that site. And it's so easy to get Lily to speak sometimes. if she was not deceased, we would have a lot harder time getting her than what we do. I've been doing this long enough that I know. And everything that they have said is things that they brought up months later. How do you explain that? I mean, we heard, you know, abuse, beaten, hit, choked, smothered, um, all these details. And then on top of that, they talk about being down in a basement. Gave them a little bit of cereal, no milk, just cereal. She goes on vacation with her friends. Now that was about maybe a weekend on this. Yeah, we got that information. So nearly 2.5 months before they, at least saying, before they even ever mentioned anything about a basement. how else can you explain this? When we're getting that information from these children, how else in the world? Look at what time it is. How in the world to tell this to? And it takes them 3 months or better to really figure out anything. That's why I wished people would come here to JSV and just listen to these children, any other children, teens, whatever, and actually really, really listen. Because with the news people, they only go by what they're told. There's no credibility in a newscast company. But I've got a feeling that they tried to separate them so they would be separate in death. And there's a reason why Jack wouldn't answer about Lily. So yeah, I'm not going to take no newscast or anything else and try to twist things around on these children. No, I'm not going to do it. And I even told y'all, these children could be laid to rest with respect, and they would still be people out there throwing up stupid stuff like, oh, they ain't nobody in them coffins and junk like that, just to keep it going. Now, believe me or not, watch. You'll see. They'll do it.
When she came back up, she was alone. She said Jack had fallen, said he wasn't breathing, said they couldn't call anyone. He said he went downstairs.
So they couldn't call anyone. Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, we've got a subscriber. Her name is Robin Bruno. Oh, however you pronounce that. She lost her children. And I let her hear her children. And when that one hollered out "Mama," she knowed exactly that voice. You're not going to go anywhere else and find what you get right here. Not if you want the truth about things. Um, that's like that woman that time lied to me, tried to just test me to see, when I first started doing sessions for people, tried to trick me, telling me she didn't know how her sister died. Well, I found out real quick how she died. But that ain't all that her sister told on her. That she had her little sister to take jewelry and stuff off her dead mom's body in the coffin and go hide it. So, see, even trying to trick me or not telling me the full story, it can come back and hit you in the butt quick.
Saw Jack lying on a blanket, still, pale.
Now, how's that work? He falls down the stairs because she's going down to do wash. I wish to God somebody could make that make sense to me. How they have a washer and set up in basement in that trailer. There is no way. It's all lies. Why? And somebody mentioned them cabins the other day, or a cabin or something other that one of them had or something like that. Well, if they're old timey rustic cabins, yeah, they may have a basement, but I doubt very seriously that there's any electricity hooked to the place after all them years. So where else would she have went to wash clothes? And why and how, when he fell down the steps, he automatically fell right onto a blanket? Wasn't that just so awesome that there was just a blanket right there that just come out of nowhere that they could just wrap him up in? They are living in denial. Let me, yeah. They, see, this ain't adding up. This ain't adding up at all. Now, what I do believe is that one of the friends may have had a basement and probably seen if they could throw him down there and make it look like a accident. I I have no idea, Sabina. I have no idea. I don't know where they do it. Yeah, I just don't know. But I guess according to her, I guess if that's correct, grandmother's house. Well, don't you think it'd be kind of worrisome if they put a blanket down on the floor right in front of the bottom step? Or is that just a little bit too obvious? I mean, I wouldn't care if she went to the White House and washed clothes. Why would that have been made that way? Why would anyone have a blanket at the bottom of the stairwell? Yeah. So if it ain't at grandma's house, and then one other option, that would be at one of her friends. But saying that she couldn't call 911. Well, heck no, she wasn't going to call 911 because she'd been strung out for days. Drugs in the house, you know, kids having all kind of bruises all over them, afraid that Lily's going to tell something. You know, yeah, every bit of it. Because there's nothing that they're saying making any logic sense.
There were no visible injuries, just silence. He said she was calm, too calm, that she asked him to help move the body, that she promised no one would understand, that it would ruin everything. He told investigators they wrapped Jack in a sleeping bag and waited until 3 a.m. to carry him into the woods behind the house. He led them to the tree line, past the ravine, past the old hunting shack. He pointed to a spot near a cluster of moss-covered stones and said, "We left him there." When they returned, he He said Lily had woken up, had come looking for them, had asked where her brother was.
That dog won't hunt either. Because that goes right back to that phone call. He said that, because I believe that's who he was talking to, Logan, about Daniel. And he said he can't stand the kids, he hates the kids, he makes drugs, he sells drugs, that the girl knows too much. And then went and said they should have left Meadow so they could have done her that way. But she'd been too little to remember that anyway. That's why I'm saying she was not in the bed when this happened. She seen what they did to Jack. And this didn't happen in a basement. This happened in the bathroom. But they knowed she knowed too much. And it all come out that they're nuts. He actually knew too much too. And he spoke too much. Got everything leaked.
He said Malaya looked her daughter in the eyes and said, he ran away. And that was the last thing she said.
Just run away. 4-year-old. Just run away.
To her. When investigators asked what happened next, Logan didn't answer for a long time. He just stared at the wall. Then he whispered, I don't know where she took her. Logan.
See, did you hear that? Now, they were just talking about Jack falling down the stairs and breaking his neck. How many times on that 6-page note there do we hear broken neck?
Too many times.
At least 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Too many times.
People can't tell me that these children ain't confessing to everything. Now, all of a sudden, whoever uploaded this twisted it real quick, because it went from Jack to Lily real quick. I have no idea. I have the slightest idea. But listen to how they switch it right here.
He had gone to her room early, headphones on, that Jack had followed Malaya into the basement, that she wasn't gone long, but when she came back up, she was alone. She said Jack had fallen, said he wasn't breathing, said they couldn't call anyone. He said he went downstairs, saw Jack lying on a blanket, still, pale. There were no visible injuries, just silence. He said she was calm, too calm, that she asked him to help move the body, that she promised no one would understand, that it would ruin everything. He told investigators they wrapped Jack in a sleeping bag and waited until 3 a.m. to carry him into the woods behind the house. He led them to the tree line, past the ravine, past the old hunting shack. He pointed to a spot near a cluster of moss-covered stones and said, we left him there. When they returned, he said Lily had woken up, had come looking for them, had asked where her brother was.
When they got back, she woke up wanting to know where her brother was. Well, listen right here.
He said Malaya looked her daughter in the eyes and said, "He ran away." And that was the last thing she said to her. When investigators asked what happened next, Logan didn't answer for a long time. He just stared at the wall. Then he whispered, "I don't know where she took her."
He don't know where she took her. So you see how they flipped the script real quick. They jumped from Jack to her. Too quick. Too quick. And this is why I'm saying with well, I got a big problem. Okay. So uh uh Jack and took him out in the woods and took him by an old cabin down in there, around some old mossy rock, and left him there. That didn't work either. And that he was in a sleeping bag. Now, where if the sleeping bag part is true or not, we don't know. But the part that RCMP better start speaking about before they get in hot water again is start explaining where and how the body was found. Because I'm telling you right now, in that zipped up sleeping bag, the smell is still going to be everywhere in the air for animals. But RCMP, not anybody else, RCMP said that these children have been dismembered. Now, again, that could have happened by animals, or this thing could have been more gruesome than what they let on. And being in a sleeping bag, I would have to say if I went out and tested it myself and say had a unfrozen lamb leg and put it in a bag, in a sleeping bag, and put it out in the middle of the woods and set up a trail camp, I guarantee you within 2 to 3 days that they would be a pack of wolves tearing that sleeping bag all to pieces to get to what's inside. If a bear was around, it probably wouldn't take him a good couple 2 hours, especially if it got hot, to smell that. And they could rip rip it open just by putting her foot on it and then biting and tearing it away in just one bite. And that's what could have been the dismemberment. Or, like I said again, this thing could have been more gruesome than they let on to be. If, I'm going to say it again, if RCMP has lied about any of this stuff right here, whoever is in charge would go to jail for throwing out false claims. One mistake, okay. 2, 3, 4, no. They just couldn't afford to. And they said that's not where they found the remains. They found the remains down on the side of a bank down there closest to the water. So, hey, Pamela. They're trying to make this lighter than what it is. That's about all I can say about that.
Logan's confession didn't bring closure. It brought something else: a map of deception, a trail of complicity, and a second child unaccounted for. Malaya hadn't.
There you go. Did you hear it? Did y'all hear that? A second child
left him there. When they returned, he said Lily had woken up, had come looking for them, had asked where her brother was. He said Malaya looked her daughter in the eyes and said, "He ran away." And that was the last thing she said to her. When investigators asked what happened next,
yes.
Logan didn't answer for a long time. He just stared at the wall. Then he whispered, "I don't know where she took her." Logan's confession didn't bring closure. It brought something else: a map of deception, a trail of complicity, and a second child unaccounted for.
Now, with Lily being unaccounted for, not knowing what had happened to her, now that is something that needs to be brought out of Malaya, regardless. And Daniel, and Numbnuts, and Logan. Because don't let what they're saying fool you. Yeah. They know exactly what they did with Lily. But what is really pissing me off, like I said, I wasn't going to beat around the bushes with it, and I ain't going to now. They know that they were more than brother and sister. They were friends. They counted on one another. Now, yeah. Well, okay. So Lily made a statement and said, yeah, when I was asking about the punishment, said, yeah, but they did something to Jack first. I could not make out what they said, or she said about it. But then there's that phone call where they were talking to one another. Said that Lily knew too much. And saying they don't know where she took her to. That's a damn lie. She didn't take Lily no damn where. Daniel, Logan, and Numbnuts took that baby. I believe what happened to Lily was the same kind of situation. Um, Probably given something so she'd be weak and sleepy and drowsy, and use a pillow to try to finish it off. And she knowed how close these kids was. They knowed how close these kids was, and I guarantee you that they did not put her exactly where Jack was either. Now I can't say that she wasn't kind of close, but then again, I can say, I guess not. He's probably dead or he's in the jailhouse. Uh, but what gets me is RCMP said that when they got there on site, uh, that they discovered the remains of Jack and Lily. Now, yeah, like a fiddle. Yeah. Well, you see, I don't believe not the first word that they put Jack where they said they did. Mm-mm, no, this here was on a hillside on close to a bank that goes down to the water. That's where they found the remains. Now, RCMP said that there's two small children here, and they did confirm and say that it was a match for what Jack and Lily were wearing. So, did they think? Did they think that putting her maybe down further from where Jack was would still hold the same is in death? I don't know what they had in mind, but I remember Jack would not say what happened to Lily, but it's because he's being honest. He was done gone before they did anything to Lily. The poor little feller's telling the truth. He just don't know. Yeah. Some hikers found them and they called authority, and that's when the RCMP said that it was a match, that it was uh, Jack and Lily Sullivan, their remains, and they didn't say nothing about a sleeping bag. So either there's on two ways this can go. That they waited and took both of them at the same time. And put them out there. But it don't make sense because put him in a sleeping bag. But a piece of her coat, her jacket, was found right there around about where uh, the remains were. And it come back as a match. It was actually hers. And the blanket come back a match that it was hers. One of the two is lying. Either they're all lying about where they put the kids, or either RCMP's lying about where they found the children. This is stupid here. I'm just telling you right now. This is stupid. If they, I don't know, maybe the hikers, I don't know, and they just stumbled upon it, thought it was, didn't know what it was, perfectly round. I guess it was shown from the back, or they could see it from the back of the skull, and I guess thought it was a weird looking rock, and then went over there and rolled it over, and it was a skull. Well, they called 911 right then. You see. Oh, they mentioned it. A couple of people mentioned that scratch on his face. Um, but with the newscast, global news, going around saying that they have not found Jack and Lily, that don't mean but two things. Either RCMP is lying, or all them lying. Because, okay, Pamela, good night, love. Hope you get feeling better. Uh, so, if they put him in a sleeping bag, what did they put her in? And I've asked bluntly how this went. And Jack is loud when he speaks. Uh, he said hit in head with, I think, a flashlight or something. And then uh, something about in the bathroom, uh, whipped and choked. And I believe that is when they broke the neck, because we have got it at least 4 to 6 times on paperwork before anybody ever said anything about broke bones or anything. Only thing they would mention is some bruising.
Malaya hadn't just lost her children. One thing. Can you take us there? He nodded. He just stared at the wall.
Hold on. When did RCMP say they found the children's remains? Do y'all remember what day it was that we heard that? Roundabout. I would say probably maybe a week or so ago. I can't remember. Um, yeah, probably about a week or so ago, something like that. Apparently, some hikers called it in, and when authorities got there, then they said, yeah, it was a matching for Jack and Lily Sullivan, and couldn't really tell by the decomposition, but they could by the clothing that was scattered around the remains. Um, I, I'd say pretty close to 2 weeks now, I guess. Um, so I, I don't know. You just have to watch back through them for about a. I started about 2 weeks ago and come back up to here, and you'll hear it.
Then he whispered, I don't know where she took her. Logan's confession didn't bring closure. It brought something else, a map of deception, a trail of complicity, and a second child unaccounted for. Malaya hadn't just lost her children, she had erased them. When Logan's confession finally came to an end, the investigators didn't speak. They didn't press him further. They simply asked him one thing: Can you take us there? He nodded quietly and then led them to the edge of the woods. The location was 4.2 kilometers northeast of the Sullivan property, off the main trail. No signage, no human activity.
Off the trail. Did you hear that? Off the trail. No see. No see. No see. The only part about being off trail would be down the slope, like going toward the bank of the water. And yeah, it had been raining up there for a good while, so it could have slid down. Yeah. So we'll see.
Just a collapsed logging road overgrown with moss and alder branches. There, beneath a cluster of rocks and damp earth, they began to dig. But before that came Malaya's side of the story. She was brought in later that same day, not in handcuffs, not under arrest, yet. She didn't.
Now we're talking about a week ago. Okay. We're not talking about yesterday, day before yesterday, nothing. It's a week ago. And maybe even more than that. Yeah, I mean, with them being on side of the bank and it rained as much as they said it did up there, there's a possibility that it slid them down closer to the water. Um, maybe something like that. I just go back and go through them, and you'll hear it. Yeah.
Ask why she was there. She didn't deny that Logan had spoken. She just sat down, removed her earrings, and folded her hands in her lap. According to the transcript, she began speaking before questions were asked. It wasn't supposed to happen like that, she said. And then she told them her version.
It wasn't supposed to happen like that. Daniel has a $300 pair of red sneakers. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I think I tell you what I think. Now I don't know. Yeah, it was all premeditated. Yeah, I believe I believe wholeheartedly that they just wanted to kill Jack. But they all sat down and talked about it and how to get rid of the remains or the evidence. But then there was Lily. She knew too much. She knowed everything that was going on in the house. They couldn't let that get leaked. And then they say, well, they don't know where they took her or where she took her. Well, she didn't take her no daggum where. Because I remember a statement that Lily said and Rose said that they were in the back of the vehicle. So, yeah, that tells me right there that they're trying to play this off lesser than what it was. It's whoever the woman was that's related to Jack and Lily. Uh, hey, Cassie. Uh, hey, Judy. That they seen them in the back. So we've done got that written down. We done know that part. So let's see what she has to say about this.
Version. On the evening of May 1st, she had been alone with the children. Logan had gone into town. Jack was upset, crying about something, a toy, a broken promise, the noise from the old furnace that kept him up at night. She said she told him to be quiet, that he didn't, that she raised her voice, that she yelled at him in a way she never had before. And then it happened. She claimed he fell. She said she wasn't sure if...
Now, well, that's a pretty good idea. Because so far they have found four people up along the pipeline trail so far. But I reckon them girls, the daddy killed them. But there's no telling. If she screamed at Jack, if she screamed at Jack as loud as what she said she did, that she's never screamed that loud before, don't you think that would have woke Lily up? Of course it would. But as soon as she screamed because she was pissed, well, just Jack goes flying down the stairs. But now you tell me where the stairs was there in the trailer. Because what happened to Jack happened in the bathroom in that trailer. So where did she have to go to throw him down a set of stairs? Yeah. They both done said hands was tied, bound. So hey, they can play the fiddle on everybody else, but I'm not gonna fall for it. I'm not turning a deaf ear to these children. I will not do it.
He tripped or collapsed, but when she picked him up, he wasn't responding. His lip...
Oh, he tripped or just fell or fainted. Well, I guess if you get hit in the head with a flashlight, it would probably put you to sleep for a little while. Because I've got that on paper too, and beaten to death. So there were no him just falling down the stairs. There's no just a scream. He got hit in the dadgum head with a big old flashlight, one of them probably big old heavy ones. And then if they were at somewhere where they had a basement at that time, threw him down in there to try to make it look like he fell, but that didn't work. So now, what they had to do to try to cover up Jack, that's just one already. That's premeditated murder right there. One right there. So you see, they said that they didn't arrest her and all at that second because she was telling information. But there is no way on the face of this earth that they would have let her walk after she said plainly that they wrapped him up in a sheet and in a sleeping bag and had them to move the body. There's no way she could get by with that and leave there knowing that that child was deceased. Because she confessed on herself right there. I mean, so, no. Yeah.
He wasn't responding. His lips were cold. She said she froze, couldn't breathe, couldn't think, just sat on the floor, rocking him, waiting for him to blink. She didn't call 911. Instead, she waited until Logan came home. She said she told him what happened, that he panicked, that she panicked, that they both started talking in circles. She said she told him they'd take both kids away, that no one would believe it was an accident.
There it was. There it was. They'd just take both kids away. But then they'd have to play it off like they just went missing. Or somebody come along and picked them up, and run off with them. So yes, they carried both of them at the same daggone time. You know them big old long flashlights that you get, it's got like a grip on them and stuff. They're hard, but they're metal. If you was to take a base end of that and hit someone on top of the head with it, especially a child, you're going to crack their skull. So therefore, the brain is going to swell. You're going to lose the ability to speak or have a clear sight of eye, to if they put a light in your eye, your pupil wouldn't dilate. Your brain would not be doing nothing but swelling and losing all senses. The only thing that could happen left from that is your hearing. Your hearing is the last thing that goes. So these poor children. Yeah.
Accident that she couldn't go back to court again. There had been a custody case, quiet, sealed, never reported, but it had left her on edge, terrified of losing everything. Logan, according to her, said nothing, just stared at Jack's body, and then nodded. What followed, Malaya described as a blur. She said Logan wrapped Jack in a sleeping bag. She gathered the clothes he'd been wearing that day, his favorite red shirt, the one with the dinosaur. She put it in the dryer to erase the scent. Then later, in a fire pit behind the house,
Erase what scent? erase what scent? I'll clear this up real quick and fast right here. With what she just said, with a red dinosaur shirt that had to be washed, that was a daggum lie too. Because he was wearing a yellow shirt with dinosaurs. Two, if he fell down, she's done made the statement twice that there were no vital signs, no wounds, no nothing. If they acted in a normal, decent time, they would have been no older, right? I mean, look, hey, you pass gas. Look, hey, if you sit there long enough, you're going to smell it. But let me tell you something. And yeah, it's a horrible thing that I'm fixing to say, but what she is implying to is where they keep getting their times screwed up, because what had happened was, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, okay? You don't. I plainly believe that when she screamed and hollered and all this and threw him down the stairs after getting hit in the head with that flashlight, I believe it woke Lily up. Okay. So they wrapped him in a sheet, put him in a sleeping bag, if that's the truth. Okay. They didn't come back and tell Lily that Jack just run off. He ran away. Because Lily would have, she heard anything going on with Jack, should have been in there like that. Yeah, so she knows what they did. Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you something, you getting hit in the head just right with one of them things, it's gonna hurt or knock your butt out one. Well, apparently hit so hard that his brain swelled that it just it was too much intense. Um, they didn't waste time by trying to get rid of one and then the other and whatnot. Now here's where the sickening part comes in. They put them kids in a basement because they really didn't know what to do. I believe that they were giving Lily some stuff to keep her, you know, messed up. And the odor from a dead body for the first day or so, if the temperature is decent and not just scorching hot, it's not going to be illuminating like that. So with her going on to the beach with her friends, Jack, already deceased, was in that basement. She was in that basement and was only given cereal, no milk, no nothing. And I believe when she come back, she said, I did not know that this had happened. But, okay. So other than giving Lily something in her drinks or in her food or whatever, her ended up passing from being malnourished. Okay, there's where your smell come from an old hot basement down in there. That's the only thing you would need. And then you'd have to use ozone just to get rid of that, if it even helped take it all out. But way she's making it out is that just soon as he died, they had to spray for a scent. That that don't even make logic sense. That's stupid. Okay, that preschooler is no different than that. So okay, we know that they were in the basement. That right there is when everything just that was it. Both children, that's it. But she'd been gone so long, she come back hot. They're locked up in the basement. Y'all heard it as well as we all heard it. Well, so her and Daniel and Logan and all of them still lying and twisting the tail because that's not the way it happened. That is definitely not the way it happened. They plainly said that we were in the back. So they was in the back of a vehicle. Malaya wanted to get out of the vehicle. So they could go and get rid of the evidence. And they said it. They said so. They admitted to that already. So, what kind of judge is going to let you out and go home and, do your thing when both your children are dead? One starved to death and one beat to death. They just going to give you a ticket and wait till court date? No, see. I don't care who says what. They are in the jailhouse. And they will not be getting out. Now, some of them that, well, Logan may not get out neither because he'd be charged with tampering with a corpse and messing with or whatever with a crime scene. Yeah, and like I said, they're more than just brothers. They're friends. They counted on each other. And then when I asked again, were they still in the dark? Were they in the basement? She said, no, we're outside. And it probably wasn't 5 minutes into the session. And she says, now we're free. So now there ain't but two things that can happen here. Either RCMP lied and only found Jack's body, or they went ahead and found both, but there's something missing. Something missing. Of where and how. Because they know something that they're not putting out to the public. And the World News or any other news company, they don't know the facts neither. because they will not give out a certain type information about a certain detail. Have you ever seen people filming, newscasts while people's getting led into the courthouse and stuff when they're in the jailhouse wearing their cuffs and shackles and stuff, and they trying to get answers from everybody? Well, it's like that. They're they're all gonna be in trouble, but Jack and Lily and Logan. Um, I now I know both parents will end up going down because they know what happened and they held evidence. Yeah, they lived down there for a good long while, and that's where the stench was. You see, and the only thing that would take that smell out would be ozone. Um, So, see, she told off on herself again that wrapped him up and this and that and took him down there. Well, if they did, that didn't happen till after she got back from vacation or at the beach, wherever. So yeah, by that time they would have been stench. And if you remember correctly, Rose said now it has a smell. Y'all remember that? Rose plainly said now it has a smell. So they ain't gonna pull the wool over my eyes.
She burned it, watched the fabric curl into ash. She claimed Lily never knew that she was asleep the whole time, that she woke up to an empty bed and an empty morning, and that when she asked about Jack, she told her the same thing she told the police. He wandered off. Investigators pressed her. What about Lily? Why didn't she tell someone? Why disappear completely? Malaya didn't answer. She said only this: I thought I had more time. When asked to draw a map of where Jack was,
Why didn't you tell where they're at? She said, well, I didn't have time. What you mean you didn't have time? You didn't have to go on your vacation and go to the beach. You could have stepped up and said, hey, look, I did this, I done that. Take your punishment. If you do it, go ahead and get your sentence and over with. Because you either gonna kill yourself or you fool around and let people know what happened and what you did, and you go to prison. Well, they gonna kill you in there anyway. Yeah, they'll never see light again. Yeah, yeah, because they well, but which that ain't true. Uh, but they try to claim that uh, uh, Daniel and Logan didn't know where she took Lily, but that's a daggum lie. They both were put down in that basement, and that was that. Till they got ready to move the bodies and then try to get rid of the smell. And like I said, I have seen so many suicides and things as such, and I've watched how the cleaning crew has to do it. If y'all have never watched um, uh, after death cleanup crews. Y'all need to watch some of them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. After they get doing everything, then they wear these outfits, and they have to use this ozone, and it still takes days for that odor to go away. Treed squirrel. But his first of all, first of all, second, I've been here several shows, and I guess I'm staying confused. What exactly are we listening to? Who is making the video or the audio of the stuff on these kids? Well, there were no audio on these kids. There were no footage that has been put out to the public yet of how the body was laying, what it was close to, the decay, the severed parts, which, like I said, could have been animals, referring to the female voice. Oh, I don't know who that is. That's agent something. Agent, I don't know, agent something. Confession from Logan. Yeah, well, that's what they say. But now they're trying to say that they only found like Jack, that they didn't know where she took Lily. But it came out that the kids, well, they said it perfectly, said it, is that the clothing and everything did match the uh, the remains of Jack and Lily Sullivan. Um, and if you go back like a week or so ago, maybe a little more, um, you can hear it. Them talking about it. Matter of fact, that day that we was hearing it, I played it 4 or 5 times so everybody could hear it. I backed it up and played it, backed it up and played it about 5 times, so everybody would not be misunderstood. The only thing set off different from any of it is that they did different to Jack than they did to Lily. But Lily, sorry to say, but being unnourished and probably things that was still getting put in her drinks and things, I think that's where the pillow comes in. Because she finished them off to make sure with the pillow. And we've heard the children say it 50 times. And everything that we got from front to back within about a 6-day period. We was getting things weeks before. We didn't even know nothing about no basement till a few days in on this thing. And they didn't start mentioning anything about a basement until about 3 months in. So we already had the info. Well, it's good you come on in here. Hey, if you like my content, look here. Hey, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button.
I thought I had more time. When asked to draw a map of where Jack was left, her pen hovered over the paper for several seconds, and then she drew a curve, a sharp bend, a tree split in two by lightning, a rock shaped like a boot. It matched Logan's description exactly. The team moved out that same evening. By midnight, they had begun excavation, soil samples, ground penetrating radar, then a zipper from a child's sleeping bag. There was no ceremony, no discovery shouted to cameras, just silence. A perimeter was drawn, a tarp erected, and the slow, grim process of cataloging what was left. Malaya was taken into custody. Not charged, not yet. But the shift was irreversible, because her secret had never been about what happened. It was about what she let happen. Next 48 hours moved with grim efficiency. Forensic teams confirmed the remains, partially decomposed, fragmented by weather and wildlife, were consistent with the estimated age and timeline of Jack Sullivan. The sleeping bag, the soil composition, even the broken zipper found beneath a layer of pine mulch all pointed to one thing. The child had not wandered off. He had been placed there. With Logan's signed statement and Malaya's partial admission, RCMP filed for formal arrest. August 8th, 6:42 a.m. Malaya Sullivan was taken into custody at her home. She was
There you go. So, now you heard it. That is premeditated murder. I don't know how Canada does, but I know down here, if you tamper with the evidence, if you confess to anything about it, and come find out that okay, you did kill your children or whoever, well, you're not going to leave the jailhouse. You're going to stay there to court date. But see, they're only wanting to talk about Jack. Yeah. So I believe this wholeheartedly, and I said it a while ago. I don't know if you was listening, but they know that Jack and Lily were more than just brother and sister, and I think that they took and put him in one place and her in another, and that way they wouldn't be together in spirit. So we couldn't find out, people like me, find out what exactly happened and put it out to the public. Because let me tell you something, they have definitely watched my shows. And they know that I can get Jack and Lily to talk. And the other day we had people in here in the comments. So Fams has been here for a long time. As soon as I would hit on point with something, as soon as one of the children starts speaking, they'd jump off. Then after they give it a minute, thinking that they stop speaking, they jump back on. They cannot stand to hear these children's voices. They cannot stand knowing that we got this information from the beginning all the way to tail end within a 6-day period. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I played it over and over and over for people to listen to so they would see that it's not me telling anybody what to say. You can't tell a spirit what to say. They ain't going to pay no attention to you. They only tell you what they fear, what has happened. They will tell you everything you need to know. If people would just hush, sit back, and listen to these children. There's so many children out there that could have already been found, laid proper if people would get on it ASAP. And I've had to do that a couple of times too. That, you know, the truth having to come from the kids. All right. Now, here it is. This Logan and all of them, like I said, they have watched my shows, and they know that the truth is being revealed, and it was weighing too much on him. He had to go and tell it. And like I said, I told this a couple of weeks ago, it'd be like a chain of events. One and the other, then another one and another one and another one and another one. They'll get them all up in the jailhouse. And that's exactly what's happening. I mean, I believe the reason Jack did not answer about Lily is because they tried to put her somewhere else so they wouldn't be together in death as well. Logan's one of their friends, I reckon. Thank you, Judy. So these guilt I started at the age of 7. Let's see what else friend. Hey, Deborah, if you like this kind of content, hey, hit that subscribe button and a like.
Still in pajamas. No struggle, no comment. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask what they had found. She simply turned off the stove, handed her neighbor the keys, and walked to the cruiser without shoes. Logan, meanwhile, had already been placed in protective custody, his emotional state described in the initial report as, quote, fragile but coherent, unquote. His status shifted from witness to co-conspirator within hours. Charges were announced by noon: obstruction of justice, interference with human remains, neglect leading to death, manslaughter still under investigation pending autopsy confirmation. The media frenzy that followed was immediate and ruthless. For days, news choppers circled the forest site. Reporters swarmed the...
Now, wait a minute. Yeah. Now, messing with a corpse. Well, Susan McMillan, welcome, love. We got a few from the UK. If you like my content, honey, just hit that subscribe button and the like, and turn your bell icon on to all. That way you'll be notified every time I go live. It's a friend of the family's, I reckon. It's all right. Everybody welcome Deborah and Susan in, and hey,
wait,
no good.
Just Susan?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So we don't want any rocks not unturned. So with her, like they just said, walked to the cruiser, barefoot, didn't give a flip, just turned the eye off. She knowed she was in trouble. She knowed it. But I still say this, and I'm going to say it until I'm proven different. that I believe they put Lily somewhere away from Jack, so thinking they couldn't be together in death to come together and tell me what has happened to these children. But matter of fact, that backfired on them. Now they have both all told what happened to them. So in fact, that kind of helped, but it's very very lower than scum to do that to these children in the first place. Um, mm, yeah. Um, they're not godly. They're not godly. They can't. They're just ignorant. Yeah. Um, mm,
Small town of Lansdowne Station, speaking to neighbors, family members, even children from Lily's school. The public demanded answers. How could two children go missing from a rural home in daylight without a single neighbor seeing anything? How could the mother appear on national television asking for help, knowing what had already happened? Some saw a woman pushed to the edge, battered by isolation, overwhelmed by custody battles, consumed by fear. Others saw something else, a quiet calculation, a controlled cover up, the kind of silence that takes days to construct. What became increasingly clear was this: Jack's death may have been an accident, but the aftermath wasn't. Investigators recovered burn.
if it was an accident, they could have called the law and said, "Hey, okay, you fell down the steps." I don't know if a lot of you remember this or not. Yeah, they brought dogs into that trailer. The dogs would not even go close to the bathroom in that trailer. They kept backing up and getting out of there. Now, hey, Joni. So yeah, trying to keep them apart, thinking that's going to help in death. That that didn't help nothing. They found each other like that. So it's just sad. Um, but now either RCMP is going to be in trouble, or whoever else over there in charge somewhere, sheriff's department. I don't know. But when they started looking around after the hiker found the skull, and you heard just a minute ago talking about the elements, the wild, and nature itself took a toll. So it'd been really unrecognizable, but the clothing was there, and part of the sleeping bag was there with a zipper. So yes, so you know, with them doing that, that's premeditated. Uh, she didn't want to call the police because, of course, drugs in the house, and plus she knew that they were going to have to do something with Lily, uh, because that was a lie. When she screamed, Lily would have jumped up out that bed, and she would have seen what was going on. But there's too many lies in the factor. They keep talking about there at the house. There is no basement at that trailer. Like, had to be at her mom's place, a friend's place, somewhere. But whatever happened to to Jack happened in that bathroom in the trailer. He said whipped and choked, but I guarantee you they threw him down. She did. She threw him down. He either hit the side of the toilet or the bathtub or something like that and broke his daggum neck. I've got it on paperwork from 3 days in on this thing. Yes, but there's a place worse than that, and that is limbo. And we've had to go that route with some people before too. Uh, so yeah, there's a lot worse things than just dying. Trust me. But see, right now, well, on this one, now this was just 7 days ago. They're just wanting to kind of pretty much talk about Jack, but it don't make no difference. They done admitted that they disposed of the body. When you take that in front of a grand jury, what they going? Oh, you know, no. They gonna be like, okay, hey, look, you killed these kids, and look here, hey, you gonna be in the jailhouse or uh, in the penitentiary. I mean, you can't just walk away from a jailhouse after admitting that you had somebody to hide your children's bodies. I mean, come on. Mm. Yeah.
Children's clothing from the fire pit. Partially melted polyester fibers confirmed to match what Jack had worn in earlier photos.
And they burnt their toys. They burnt all their toys up. They're trying to get rid of everything they could of the kids. Everything. Forever. Yeah.
Lilly's status, however, remained a void. No remains, no sightings, no definitive evidence she was ever taken into the woods with her brother. This uncertainty widened the scope of the case. RCMP began treating it not just as a cover-up, but a potential two-child death investigation.
Of course it is. And that's where I'm saying, and I will not back off of what I'm saying. The only reason them two were not kind of buried in a shallow grave next to one another is the thought mind by watching people like me thinking that if they could be together in death, that they could tell the whole story. Well, thank God they went ahead and decided to tell the whole story because we done got it. But that is cruel. No matter how you look at it, they will not ever get out again. The parents, the Malaya's mom, Jack's mom, Daniel's mom, Cody's mom, all of them, they're going to be charged because they knew of this. Every one of them. So there's going to be several people up in the jailhouse.
A second site was ordered for search, northwest of the original location, based on inconsistencies in Malaya's testimony. The town, small, cold, inward-facing, began to split down the center. Some held candlelight vigils. Others blocked off their driveways, refusing reporters. The local church opened its doors for grief counseling. Meanwhile,
you gotta be there at 7. Okay. You going to lay down?
Yeah, after I use the bathroom.
Okay. I love you. Need me holler.
I always need you though. You know that.
Good night. Uh, I, I, I've got to say that everything that they have tried has backfired on them. Now, I don't know how long you new ones there. Well, I've seen two new ones tonight. I don't. That's finally come in the chat. Um, I know there's a lot of people sitting in the back, but we would love for you to come on in the chat and be here with us. And if you subscribe, hit the like button, you know, turn your notifications on to all, become a JSB fam. We do a lot of things here. We uh, do drawings. We do all kinds of things. We uh, do things for merch, all kind of stuff, questionnaires, just whatever, just have fun sometimes. Family vlogs. I mean, hey, we do a little bit challenges. I give it some terrible challenges, but hey, yeah. Uh, I speak with her every time I turn the spirit box on. Uh, I didn't get brought into that deal till about 8 or 9 months in, but yes. Hmm. Yeah, and we talked to yeah, thank you. Yeah, we talk to Summer all the time. Um, let's see what else is on the line here. Now, like I said, this one was just updated 7 days ago, so there may be one uh, on Lily now, so we need to really check it out.
Online forums
Or see
erupted
if we
in
can find
theories.
one.
Was Logan more involved than he claimed? Had
Mhm.
Lily ever been seen after May 1st? Why did Malaya's phone go dark for 3 days after the 911 call? In courtroom sketches, Malaya sat in
I
silence,
wish they could.
cheekbones sharp from weight loss, her eyes hollow but dry.
What they are saying is, thank you. Uh, Please hit the subscribe button. Uh, what they are saying right there is that you know Lily was just malnourished. Period. Bags under the eyes, weak, pale. The whole 9 yards. You know.
Logan, in a separate proceeding, refused to make eye contact with anyone. The prosecution was preparing to file new charges. The defense hadn't spoken publicly, and still, no one could answer the question on every screen, every headline, every whispered conversation at the grocery store. Where
Like this,
was Lily? The silence that once cloaked Lansdowne Station had shattered. Outside the courthouse in Halifax, protesters lined the concrete steps, some holding signs that read, "Monsters hide in plain sight," others pleading, "Malaya deserves help, not hate." Inside Facebook groups and parenting forums, the public split violently. One side saw a terrified
Yeah,
woman,
right.
unwell and overwhelmed, caught in the grip of untreated depression. The other saw a manipulator, stone cold, willing to let her own children vanish into the woods to preserve a fragile facade. Malaya Sullivan appeared in court for arraignment on August 10th. Her plea? Not guilty to all charges. She wore no makeup. Her hands trembled when she adjusted the microphone. But when asked to confirm her identity, her voice was clear, composed, almost too composed. Logan was arraigned the following day in a separate proceeding. He pled guilty to obstruction and interference with human remains, but his lawyer insisted he was coerced.
See, regardless of what Malaya may say, these other people are trumping her. She's not giving in to any truth on the matters But these people are confessing already on themselves and her and Daniel. So, yeah.
Psychologically manipulated by a woman he felt responsible for saving. The prosecution laid out its case with surgical precision. They argued that Malaya was not overtaken by panic, but guided by self-preservation. That after Jack collapsed, likely from blunt force trauma to the abdomen, she had an opportunity to call for help. She did not. Instead, they said, she staged a disappearance, fabricated a timeline, deleted data, burned the clothing, sat in front of the cameras and begged for help, knowing full well where Jack's body lay decomposing in the pines.
Now you think she did all that for Jack? Imagine Lily. One of the worst ways to pass is by starvation. I guarantee you anything that the whole time that they were in that basement in the dark, she was sitting there. Hey, Blue Eyes. Hey, where you been, man? Uh, I believe she's been sitting right there, right along beside Jack's body. There's a lot more to this, to the deaths of these children than they're telling. Um, yeah, yeah. I thought you done ran off. Damn.
Her defense attorney presented a different picture. A young woman raised in trauma, a history of domestic violence long before Logan, multiple ER visits, symptoms of post-traumatic stress, potential postpartum psychosis never diagnosed after Lily's birth. They introduced old journal entries recovered from a previous phone backup. In one, dated 6 months before the disappearance, Malaya had written, "Sometimes I think they'd be better off without me. I love them too much to ruin them." The trial became more than a legal proceeding. It became a referendum on
Mother passed away March 27th of last year. So I know how you feel, love.
motherhood, on mental health, on the silence between red flags and disaster. News anchors debated whether maternal instinct had been over-romanticized, whether society knew how to recognize the face of a mother in crisis when she didn't look like one. Every detail became ammunition in the cultural crossfire. Why didn't no school report Lily's absence until a week after the 911 call? Why did neighbors ignore the sounds of screaming that night? Why did Logan stay silent for 96 days? And what about Lily? With no body recovered, her fate became both mystery and metaphor, an open wound in the trial and in the town. Parents cried outside the courtroom. Mental health activists rallied on courthouse steps. An online fundraiser for legal fees raised nearly $40,000 in 2 days. Another, for Jack and Lily's funeral costs, raised more in hours. A nation watched a mother on trial, but couldn't decide what crime had truly been committed. Neglect? Murder? Or simply the failure of a system that never saw her going undone? 2 children disappeared in broad daylight, a brother and a sister, a 6-year-old with dimples and a stubborn streak, a 4-year-old who loved to hum when he was nervous, and for 97 days, no one knew where to look. But the answer was never in the forest. It was in a shallow marsh, or under a stranger's porch, or floating in theories passed around online. The truth was quieter. It sat behind closed doors, in a dimly lit kitchen, in glances not exchanged, in half-finished texts and deleted photos. It lived in a man who couldn't sleep and a woman who refused to cry. It clung to...
Wait a minute. I remember something. I just now remembered. There were a few times when I heard Rose and heard that other woman say the same thing. And then I think, now, I may be wrong, but I think I heard them say in the closet. So maybe that is also a place that they were trying to get the odor out of. I just remembered that. Hmm. Mm. Mm-mm.
Silence like it was safer than the truth. Because sometimes the human mind doesn't break with a bang, it fractures slowly, quietly, and no one notices until it's too late. Jack didn't just stop breathing, he disappeared into a lie built from fear. And Lily, we still don't know. There are no monsters in this story, just people. People who made choices.
So now what we got to do is find the ones on Lily, because like I said, now that was uploaded like 7-8 days ago. Okay, and they might have got that info even before then, because I mean anybody can get info and upload it. Like I could upload things that happened 4 years ago. You know, yeah. So what we'll do, yeah. What we'll do is y'all try to dig around because y'all night owls like I am. Y'all uh y'all y'all look around and see if you find something other on Lily. With it being this uploaded 7 days ago or 8 days ago, they it don't make sense on the account of for sure finding the decomposed body of Jack Sullivan. But they also, the way they said it, and that's the way I listen to people. I don't listen to what's being said. I care less about that. I listen to how it's being said. And they said plainly that they were a match, that they found, uh, and this is where it's crossed up too. They found uh, Jack's skull and his remains. Uh, and then they did some more digging around and they found some clothing that was buried around with them. And this is where the trick is. Now, these people right here can go ahead and try to play us like a fiddle too. But let me tell you something. I know better, because when they said that they found a zipper for that uh, sleeping bag, that's a no-go. A week or so ago, Lily, Rose, and that other woman that speaks on their behalf said that they seen part of her pink jacket. Okay, good night, love. Uh, piece of her pink jacket that was there, all covered up too. But they may have more to do on Lily than they do Jack. Um, could be because from nature, animals, anything that they have ingested, uh, all this stuff. Um, but if y'all can find anything about Lily, then we're going to listen to it, and then we will turn the spirit box on and see if it adds up from what Lily tells us. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it here, guys. I got to try to get some rest directly, too. I love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.